Hi everybody, welcome to Art Less Ordinary by Ben. So, I am going to try and do a pearl pour, dirty pour combo that I've done before. But instead of using the decoart Americana, I'm going to use a decoart Extreme Sheen. So, I wanted to try to do one that had a bit more colours, coloured pearls. And the only coloured metallic, the only coloured decoart metallic I have is Extreme Sheen one. So I thought I want to do a red one. Well, it's actually ruby. So I love red and purple together. So I've decided to do, we have marte purple, marte light purple, marte black, marte white, and the Extreme Sheen ruby. So these will be the main colours with the pearls that come up through it. So I'm hoping that turns out really well. So these 4 paints are 25 grams paint, 75 grams floetrol. So, I said that wrong. 25 grams paint, 50 grams floetrol. So 2 to 1. So there's 75 grams in each cup. This one here is 25 grams paint and 25 grams floetrol. So this is 1 to 1. These are all 2 to 1. Alrighty. And I have a corner catcher so I don't lose too much of the paint off. I'm just going to move these over here and get my cup ready. So yeah, I've got Extreme Sheens before, and I've done them in a normal pearl pour, but not in a dirty pearl pour. So let's hope that this turns out quite well. And I haven't used this colour before. It's a beautiful colour. Doesn't look as metallic-y as the silvers and that, but that could just be while it's still wet. Once it dries, it could end up being absolutely awesome. So we'll just have to wait and see. So always stir your metallic very well just before you start using it. These were made up about 30 to 40 minutes ago, but the kind of metallics settle a little bit. Now, all these colours should be fine. I always give everything a little stir beforehand. Not a lot. If you find any of them are a little bit too thick compared to the other ones, just add a little bit of water, but very slowly. Now, let's add our paint. So always start with your transparent at the bottom in your colours, not your opaque. So you go transparent and then you put some opaque into it, holding it up high and letting it smash into it. Oops, Nelly. Let's go a little bit of the pearl colour. So at first you don't put a lot of paint in the bottom. You go small layers first. Then we're going to go a bit of black. And remember, always hold it up higher because you want the paint to smash down into it. I'm not going to put the white on top of the black because I don't want to get too much grey. So add some colour. Then you can go some white. You probably still will get some grey anyway, but I'm trying to limit the amount of grey that appears. And now it is just a matter of pouring in bits of paint. Sorry if you see me moving, I'm trying to catch a little midgie that's found its way into my house again. I live in Australia. We have lots of bugs, especially now that it's today's November. I think it's the 1st September, October. Oh no, still in spring. We had one of our hottest spring days the other day. So, but it's cooled down a little bit today. Which way? Doesn't really matter which order you put everything in, because you're doing a dirty pour and it smashes down into the paint. You kind of just put it in and go. So because I've got the same amount of black as I do colours, it will be quite a black painting as well. There will be a fair bit of black in it. If you would rather, you can reduce the amount of black you have. Just halve the black and increase your colours a little bit more. I am going to use the rest of my pearl paint now. This midget is really annoying. If I don't try and catch him, he's going to fly into my artwork. I know he will. So scrape out all of this. You don't want to leave any behind because it's a beautiful paint and it costs a bit more than my other paints. So I'm a bit more fussy about getting it all out. So once the container gets close to the bottom, there's no point holding it up high because it's not going to smash down into it anyway, as long as most of it has. You can see how beautiful it is mixing through. Now let's go this one. Now it's just a matter of finishing off the colours that you have. Alright. So this measurements work for a 12 by 16 canvas. If you're going to do a bigger canvas, you're just going to have to adjust your measurements slightly. So then you have the right amount. This is my standard sized canvas I use for most of my artwork. You can, whatever's easier for you. This is just easy for me to do. I know my measurements with this size, and when I do other ones I just have to adjust them a little bit. We're nearly there. This is the part, if you're not as interested, you can fast forward, but just remember to make sure that you do the dirty pour if you want the same type of results. And I'm sure that this would work with other brands of paints. I am 90%, no, I'm probably 95% sure this would work with Liquitex Basics if you are in a country where that's easier to get hold of. I'm not too sure about other brands. I haven't used Liquitex Basics, but I know that Pearl Pours do work with it. So that's all that I can go by, is that it has worked with other brands. But you're just going to have to test it if you're using different brands again. Maybe do a tiny little mini canvas and see how you go from there. And when I say I'm using floetrol, I'm using Australian floetrol. So have either your heat gun or your little blowtorch ready, because you've done a dirty pour. It's going to have lots of bubbles in it. I'm going to pinch my cup. Make sure there's no dust or hair. And now we're just going to pour. See how there's a lot of black? We're getting some purple coming out now. That is what happens when I use the black. I always do seem to get a lot of it. So So like I said before, if you wanted to, you could reduce the amount of black and increase the colours. So I just keep pouring until the paint goes from a line till it looks like it's going to start doing a drip. And then I will stop doing the pouring. Okay. I'm just holding the canvas because it's going to go over this edge, so it goes a bit closer to that edge. You can see all the pearls coming up already. So if you feel that there's too much paint when you do it, you can always adjust your measurements slightly to kind of match your own situation. That is really what a lot of this is about, is kind of just trying to figure out slightly your own little part in it. Now I'm going to get rid of all these bubbles. Don't ever leave your blowtorch sitting in one spot for very long. Keep it constantly moving. Alright. Now, this cup is so pretty. So let's go this way a little bit. Looks like I have maybe slightly a little bit too much paint. So I could probably reduce all of the measurements by a small amount. So I'm going to go up here into this top right corner. That pearl colour is so pretty. I was deciding whether to use the ruby or use the sapphire. Alright, get it into that corner. Okay, now pull it back from the corner and then remove your corner catcher. Now I'm going to come down to this end. So as we stretch it, we will get more purple and some of the black will disappear. Into this corner. And then come back. And then remove the corner catcher. You don't have to use a corner catcher if you don't want to. I may not have needed to because it looks like I had enough paint. But I often like to, because then it gives me the ability, if there's a spot I don't like, I can always tilt that off because I have excess paint, when you can't always do that if you don't have a corner catcher. But you do get, sometimes it does give you different shapes in the corners, or it can change the shape of the paint slightly at times. And you could also use a bigger corner catcher. Mine's probably a little bit small. Bring it down and then remove it. Now we've got one corner left. Watch where your paint is, the main part of your heavy paint, and bring it down. I also think this would be quite cool if I put it on a spinner, but spinning it would be better if it was a square canvas, not a rectangle canvas. So we've reached the corner now. bring it back, then remove the catcher. Get this up and out of the way over here. Now just double check your corners that they're all covered in paint, because that's going to be just the tiniest little bit on some corners, just didn't get paint on them. Alrighty. Now we just want to move the paint around a little bit, but watch your picture constantly. If it looks like it's getting stretched in a way you're not that keen on, stop moving the paint. What I'm trying to do is cause the paint to rub over itself, which seems to bring up more pearls and features. Sometimes it brings up pearls, sometimes it just brings up other different effects. But as you go about it, just watch everywhere and see if there's a part that is changing that you don't like. And if that happens, stop moving the paint around. If you have a corner that you don't like, now is the time to tip that corner off. After a while, the paint will start wanting to stick where it is, and you'll have more trouble tilting without changing or overstretching other parts. So I am close to where I'm going to stop. I am probably going to put that purple just a little bit higher. There. So to me, I want these beautiful like cracking effect down at the bottom. I've got nice kind of, I just got to watch my fingers don't drip. Up on this top part, I can see where there's lines of black going through, and there's kind of really nice lines happening over here. And I didn't want this main section to be in the middle. I wanted it to be off-centered. So that is where I am happy with how it looks. Just rubbing a bit of paint off the bottom so it doesn't keep pulling more paint off. Whoops. What did I hit then? Oh, I hit there. That's okay. Now, this is going to still slightly change. Quite a lot of the pearl paint sat on top from the beginning, so it's not as much underneath. So I may not get as many pearls come up because it was already there on the surface. So that's the difference. When I've used the other pearl pour, dirty pour combinations, I've been using the decoart Americana Decor Metallics, not the Extreme Sheen. So they are different. They do slightly react a little bit different. So now I've just got to pop the rest of these bubbles. Because there was a lot of them. That is what happens when you do a dirty pour. You will get lots of bubbles. Okay, now see how I didn't keep the torch in one spot for any extended period? Keep it moving. So it does kind of like leave sometimes little pit holes where the bubbles popped, and other times it brings up pearls. So it does what it wants to do, and I've had different effects each time I have done this. So a lot of these pearl pour dirty pours give me a very galaxy style artwork, but I love them that way. They're really cool. But part of this that I love is these kind of lines up here. They're cool where they go into each other. And down here where I've got this cracking effect. So that's not cracking. That is completely smooth. It's just the way that the painting, the black has separated from the pearls, and the pearls kind of expand and push all the black paint into each other, which gives like a cracking look. Over here, we've got lines of different shades of pearls. So with the ruby, it mixes well, nearly any of these pearl colors, they mix a little bit with the colors that you've already used. So sometimes it mixes with the purple and gives a bit more of a plum look, and then it mixes with the light purple and kind of gives a light ruby mauvey color, like probably a red mauve. And then you get some parts that mix with black and kind of just go a deeper ruby. So this is looking really, really cool. I'm going to scrape my edges because I don't want any more paint to be pulled off. You can't always stop the paint from being pulled off, but if you scrape your edges, you're preventing it from happening more so. And also make sure that your canvas is level. If you've got a slightly bent canvas or a canvas that is a little bit out of shape, don't use it for this. You will walk away and it will change too much. So for me, if I did it over and it was dripping over this side, it would keep pulling all of this across and I would lose all of that and these pearls would go to the edge. It just happens. It pushes your painting around and changes your effects. I am going to pause this and come back in probably about 5-7 minutes. Hopefully more actual ring pearls have come up. But if it may not change much, but sometimes it does. That's the fun of doing pearl pulls. You don't always know exactly what you're going to get. So I will pause it. While I'm off camera, I will scrape those edges another 1 or 2 times. And then when we come back, we will see how it looks. Ooh. Okay, we're back. I don't think a lot changed. The pearls got a little bit bigger, but there wasn't a lot of change in this. The reason why I think is with the extreme sheen, I haven't used it before in this type of pour, and I think maybe my ratio could have been altered a little bit to give me a few more pearls. So I'm going to have to do these again in a using a maybe adding 1.5 parts floetrol to it instead of just 1 part, and then do another one with like 75% floetrol instead of 1:1. But I absolutely love it. I cannot be happy with the results. I'm super happy with this kind of crazing, cracking look at the bottom. The pearls have come up nice. It's not as much purple as I thought. I thought it would be a bit more purple, but the ruby has kind of become the most dominant color in there. But there's so many shades of ruby in this. It's not just stayed by itself. It's blended all the way through. Down here we've got purple, like more ruby parts and purple ruby parts, and same with over here. It's changed color as it goes along. Even up through here, the metallic from the ruby has kind of mixed into nearly every aspect of this painting. There's only a few spots where there's more a solid color and there's not a reflective part in it, which is super cool. So when scraping the edges, no paint came off this side, a tiny bit off that side, a little bit off this side, and none off this side. So this tells me that it is slightly moving that way. So hopefully that will stop, so I won't keep losing paint. And I've got a few pearls coming up here. That's probably because the paint dripped over and stretched the paint out a little bit more. But this, I really can't be happier. This is probably one of my favorite paintings. So I'm going to bring you down for a close-up so we can see a bit more. Okay, and here we go. So looking through the camera, it's probably not as ruby as I see with my eyes. It doesn't pick it up 100% identical. But that's what happens with cameras. So let's go down and have a look at this cracking type of feature. Look how cool that is. And can you see how there's all different like purple and ruby and blends in there? So it's kind of really mixed through and giving me different effects. And this cracking, it actually looks like real cracks, but it's not. It's just the way the paint is pushed to get up against each other and left the black sitting in the middle, which is just super fantastic. Here are the pearls that decided to appear. So they're kind of just pearls that have popped up in different shapes and different sizes. Let me see if I can get you. Can you see all the metallic shimmer in it? It is so hard to capture metallics in camera, especially right now. Change angles, can we get it? Not so much. Doesn't want to play ball. But the whole artwork is so shimmery. Here's the centerpiece that came out of the cup last. And then here, up here, this is where we've got the black going into the purple going into the black, and making kind of these like little ghosty streaks. And then up across here, we've got so much ruby that decided to sit on the top. A couple of little tiny pearls up here. And then all the way down this side, this metallic ruby has just kind of made its own little kind of like rings, but not a proper ring pour, but just decided to make its own little rings, if you can see that properly. But yeah, I am so happy. So this just looks awesome to me. Colors look beautiful. But yeah, definitely a lot of ruby all up through here, all across, and the ruby, once mixed with floetrol, there was only 50 grams of ruby compared to the other 4 colors that had 75 grams each. So there was less of it in the cup, and out of the 5 cups, it's become the dominant color. So that is pretty awesome. And who knows, I could use the sapphire, the blue, and it may actually behave completely different. So just remember that each color will also behave different to each brand of paint and things like that. So sometimes you just got to experiment, and if something doesn't work out and you go, nah, it doesn't work for me, try another color. It might do in another color. So this is probably not going to change too much more, but I'm super happy. And thank you for all my new subscribers and people that are leaving comments and letting me know what you think. Really makes my day to read things and come home and go, oh, I've got another subscriber. So I don't have a lot. I've got 336 at the moment, but it's a delight to me every time I get a new one. So do realize that I'm not I don't have thousands, so when I get a new subscriber, I'm pretty thrilled. So I hope you enjoyed this, everyone. Have a great evening. Comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do an artwork like this, show me your artwork. Let me see, tag me in the post so I can see what you've done. All right. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.